Hey folks, it's been a little while since we've talked about the vacation rental market. And although not much has changed, the short-term rental market has been getting some attention recently. And it's just been kind of piling up on us, People have reached out, they've got questions about what's going on here in the short-term rental market. Maybe they're looking to buy a second home or maybe an investment property. And then of course there are other clients that we've already worked with in the past that have vacation rentals here locally and are considering maybe selling them. So we're gonna jump into all that kind of stuff right now. We haven't touched on vacation STRs in quite a while. So let's take a second and talk about the STR market here, both regionally, locally, and nationally too. We'll go through some of the rules and regulations that you might find here locally, and then see if maybe this is something that would be a good option for you. Or again, maybe if you have one already, maybe is it or isn't it a good time to sell? Either way, we'll go through all the juicy details. And if you have not seen any of our other videos before, we are local real estate professionals here in the Bend and Central Oregon area who do have our own short-term vacation rental properties as well. So we do acutely know this marketplace as well. So stick around. Okay, it's no doubt that Bend and the Central Oregon area is a fantastic place to come and to visit. I've opted to actually live here and it's fantastic. But a lot of people live elsewhere and visit often. There's just so much to do here recreationally with the mountain and all the winter sports activities. And then of course, we've got the summer and all those recreational activities. We've got the hiking and the biking and the fishing, the camping, whatever it is, right? In fact, much of our identity here in the Central Oregon area is tied to tourism, which is why STRs are so popular here in the area. So if you're not following really quickly, STR stands for short-term rentals. Anything that is shorter than a 30-day rental. So all of the Airbnbs, the VRBOs, heck, even hotels are technically short-term rentals. Now these have taken off in popularity over the last 10 years. And the reason for that is because historically they've been very, very lucrative. If a hotel room costs $200 a night, but you can get a whole house for around the same, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less than that, that becomes a really, really great option for people that want to stay somewhere. It also becomes a really good option for homeowners who can generate a significant amount of revenue based upon their nightly rental rate. It makes for a really great real estate investment. All right, so let's take a quick time out and talk about the national market for STRs. So Airbnbs have been all the rage for like the last 10 years. And back when interest rates were next to nothing and everyone was kind of stuck in their house for over a year, lots of people started to buy second homes as investments. And that's where things got really silly. Not that the number of STRs wasn't already dramatically going up anyway, but the attention that the 2021-22 real estate boom had really brought a lot of popularity to this type of investment. Easy money, right? That's what all the real estate YouTubers and real estate podcasters said back then about owning and operating a short-term rental. And to be fair, they weren't really wrong, for a few years anyway. Lots of people were traveling to new locations because they just wanted to get out of the house. And things were great. Meanwhile, lots of other new potential investors and hosts were starting to get their properties up and launched and on the market as well. Then two things happened almost simultaneously. First, the boom of people traveling post-COVID started to calm down. The volume of people renting STRs started to fade, meaning less income for operators. So bookings have been down over the past 3 years, I'd say. And the pressure has been on individual owners to be aggressive with pricing, to attract guests, and to keep up with continuously improving the property and keeping the property in excellent condition. The terms value add and experience have become huge phrases in the current market over the last couple of years. Likewise, over the past couple of years, STR owners and operators have really been pressured to earn their guests' bookings. It has not been easy nor business as usual for STR operators over the last couple of years. And there's also been an inverse relationship with the nightly rental rates and the price of housing in general. As home prices have skyrocketed, the nightly booking rates have actually come down a little, which has created a large delta that has made penciling out new STRs a little bit more difficult. It's harder to make them pencil out, harder to make it a good investment. And then the second thing is that counties, cities, municipalities nationwide have begun to crack down on STRs. Everything from creating prohibitive restrictions on starting new ones, all the way down to flat outright abolishing existing STRs, forcing them back into long-term status, or even forcing investors to sell their properties, which also forces people out of the market altogether. Okay, so that's my view and interpretation of the STR market nationally. You can look it up, fact check it, but that's what's been happening. Here locally, however, we can get into more detail, more minutia. Yes, nightly bookings are down. I've heard it firsthand from numerous clients who we've sold STR properties to, who are, owner operators. We've also seen it firsthand from our rentals in particular. We've also heard it from our cleaning crew and our cleaning staff who help manage many other rentals, and also from other various small property management companies as well. Bookings are down. We are now charging less for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, full-on house. It's a pretty nice one too. Then you could actually just book a standard double queen hotel room for here locally. But that's fine. I mean, it's not a 5-alarm issue or anything. The market is what the market is, and we're just reacting to the market in order to keep our investment booked. Because if your rental is fully booked, you should still be making money, and more than if it was a long-term rental. What has become more of a question mark for the market here locally are the restrictions, because restrictions have also found their way here to Central Oregon over the past 5 years. Let's take a look at the various layers of potential restrictions one could face when starting to get their STR going here in Central Oregon. First of all, county restrictions. Right now, there aren't any current STR restrictions in the county other than the fact that they want you to be registered and pay your transient room taxes. This is carried out through a business license with the county. These taxes are like lodging and occupancy taxes, and they largely go back towards tourism funding, although some of it does also go back into the general fund. Oh, and these taxes are also required in the city as well. Now, there are around 3,200 STRs here in the county. However, about 75% of them are actually in the various resort communities we have in the area, like Sun River and Blackbeat Ranch and so on and so forth. Now, I open with there aren't any current restrictions. That's because the county is currently looking to add restrictions to the STRs here in the county. Now, it doesn't look like they are going to be restrictive to who or where STRs can be and not be located and operated. It looks more like a lot of these restrictions are just going to be based around safety and good neighborhood guidelines. So things like increased fire safety standards, wastewater/septic system management, mandatory garbage services, notification of neighbors, and noise restrictions like quiet hours, right? Just things to increase the safety and the enjoyment for all those involved, including the neighbors. However, I'm sure there will be some hoops coming down the line that will seem burdensome. There always are. Next, let's take a look at city restrictions. Now, surprisingly, or I guess unsurprisingly, really, Bend and Sisters are the only two that actually have built in place restrictions on STRs. And both of them involve a distance rule. In Sisters, you can't have an STR within 250 feet of any other existing STR. Then there are some other guidelines such as good neighbor rules, quiet hours, parking requirements, garbage, and number of occupants per rental. The same kind of things that the county is now looking at implementing as well. But the city of Bend is different. It started out as a 250-foot rule, but back in 2023, the city changed it to a 500-foot rule because they kind of reasoned that here in Bend, the rentals were becoming too saturated. So now in Bend, you can't come within 500 feet of any other STR. There's a map on the city website that shows what properties are eligible to become an STR. Those are the yellow properties. The red is where you can't have one, and it's almost all red. The city of Bend is effectively tapped out. What about existing STRs that come up for sale? Well, the vast majority of them were licensed under the 250-foot rule, and that is not grandfathered. So it would have to re-qualify now under the 500-foot rule. And to be fair, the vast majority of them are not going to re-qualify. All right, so if you're thinking about buying an STR in Bend, all of this probably sounds horrible. But hang with me, this door isn't shut yet. In fact, we just closed with a client a month ago on a brand new STR. We found it was eligible, and they're on their way to really making it happen. So look, reach out to us at KrommRealEstate.com and we would love to have an actual in-person conversation about this. Finally, let's talk about neighborhood restrictions, because just because the city will let you do it doesn't necessarily mean that the neighborhood will let you do it. Remember that red and yellow map I was talking about? I'll put the link down in the description. As you may notice by looking around on that, if you spend any time in it at all, there are some huge areas that are all yellow, which begs the question, can we just buy a house in that neighborhood? That would be great. Yeah, as far as the city's concerned, you can have an STR there. However, that particular chunk of yellow makes up a neighborhood in which the Neighborhood Homeowners Association does not allow short-term rentals. The city doesn't know or keep track of which hoods have HOAs and what the rules of each HOA are, so to them, the map shows yellow, go for it. But to me and those who know, if an entire area on the map shows up as yellow, that's a really, really good sign that the neighborhood, and it's all within a neighborhood, that neighborhood has an HOA that restricts and prohibits nightly short-term rentals. So all these restrictions might have you feeling like this is an impossible investment to get into. And look, maybe for some it is, and maybe it's not right for you. If you're looking for an easy way to make some money, if you're not heavily leveraged, if you don't have any experience in hospitality, this may not be a good option for you. Let's not forget, this is only partly real estate. The other part, whether you use a property management service or DIY, you're in the hospitality space. You need to think like a hotel owner. My point is that it is also very possible for those who have become kind of educated in this space, have the capital and have the know-how, and are willing to spend the time to find the right property and operate it effectively to still be very successful in this space. It's also still very possible for those of you who just want to offset a little bit of the expense of a second home or a vacation home. You can rent it out part-time and come and visit it the rest of the time. We see that all the time. Now, it might not be as lucrative as it once was, but a well-run, well-priced, well-managed Bend STR can still be very, very, very profitable. Also, the last thing I want to mention is to those who own Bend STRs currently. Now, I could be totally wrong, and maybe this is the beginning of people for good turning their back on STRs and running back and staying in hotels for the rest of eternity, but I think that for those who can wait it out, meaning the last few years of this downturn with the short-term rentals, the market will rebound. We've seen a bunch of rentals where the owner isn't doing the things that they need to do to keep their rental in tip-top shape. They start to lose bookings, they opt to sell, and there's one less competitor on the market. We are actually seeing a lot of people sell their rentals right now. So in my mind, my fingers are crossed that in time, with fewer, kind of STR rental options, the market itself will bounce back and the demand will increase. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. We'll have to wait and see. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Again, we enjoy doing these videos, and a video like this generally will get a little shade on it in the comments. So if you've got something positive to say, we'd love to see it. We'd love to have the comment. If you got something negative to say, well, you're gonna let us know anyway. So thanks so much for watching. Remember, if you or somebody you know is looking to buy or sell here in the area, my team and I would love to be your local real estate resource of choice. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you over in the next video.